Hello everyone, this is Archana Priyadashini, Assistant Professor in the Department of IC, Canara Engineering College. So today let's see about Königsberg Bridge problem. This is a kind of problem wherein we are going to find out based on the bridges, that is banks, as well as the islands, whether from starting point can we reach back to the original point. So there are two parts of the rivers, and two of these parts were of the banks of the river and two of them are islands. So P and Q here are islands, and A and B are the banks of the river. So this problem is known as Königsberg Bridge problem, which remained unsolved for several years. And Euler analyzed this problem with the help of this graph and gave the solution. This was indeed the starting point for the development of graph theory. So let's see the solution which is given by Euler. Denote the land areas of the city as A, B, P, Q, and where A and B are banks and P and Q are islands. So we are going to construct a graph by treating the 4 land areas as 4 vertices and 7 bridges connecting them as 7 edges. So here there are 7 bridges which connect them as 7 edges. And this graph can be written in this manner. So where A, there's a edge connecting AB, the PQ. So this is the graph. So this graph is the generalized form of this original problem. So this problem was designed into this kind of graph. So in this graph, observe that degree of vertex A, degree of vertex B and degree of vertex Q, they are same. Each of the degrees of vertex A as well as vertex B and vertex Q are having degree 3, whereas the degree of vertex P is 5, okay, which is not even. Even this is also not even. So therefore the graph does not have a Euler circuit. Do you know what is a Euler circuit? And based on this definition, the number of the degrees of all the vertices must be even, and from this particular graph, it's not possible to have the degree of the vertices which are even. Therefore, we cannot have a Euler circuit. That means we cannot have a closed walk wherein we can start from one point and end back at the same point with the condition. So it is not possible to have a closed walk that contains all the edges exactly once. That is, if we start from here, move from here, then here, then once again back. But we are excluding some of the edges in spite of having a closed walk. Therefore, we cannot have all edges exactly included exactly once, and we cannot have a closed walk. Therefore, it is not possible to have a walk over each of these 7 bridges exactly once and return to the same point. So we cannot have a Euler circuit. So this is all about Königsberg Bridge problem. Next, we'll move to the concept of trees. So before we start with trees, we'll see the definition of trees along with properties. So when do we say a graph G is a tree? The graph G is said to be a tree if it is connected and if it does not have cycles. So let's consider this example. So this is a tree with 2 edges with 2 nodes. Okay, this is a tree with 2 nodes, and we observe that this also is a tree. Okay, with 3 vertices. So what can we say about a leaf? So a pendant vertex of a tree is called as a leaf. Like this is an example for a leaf. and this tree is usually denoted by T. So let's take an example which are not trees. Let's say we have got a graph like this. Is it a tree? You observe that it is connected, but it has got a cycle, therefore it is not a tree. Okay, and next, if we want to describe a forest, so each component, let us take this example. Let's say these are the components. We observe that each component in the graph is connected, right? And each of them are trees. So we can say such a graph as a forest. So next we'll look into the theorems of trees. The first theorem is, in a tree there is one and only one path between every pair of vertices. So there is exactly one path between every pair of vertices. Let's take T to be a tree. So and T is a simple graph like this. So since T is connected, you can observe that each and every vertex has got a path. Each and every vertex has got an edge. That is, between each pair of vertices there is an edge. So we can have a path, at least one path between every two vertices. So if there are two paths between the pair of vertices, the union of the paths become a cycle, right? And T cannot be a tree. Thus, between every pair of vertices there must be exactly one path. Okay, so that is the first theorem. In a tree there is one and only one path between every pair of vertices. The second theorem that can be proved is, if in a graph G there is one and only one path between every pair of vertices, then it is a tree, or then the graph is a tree. So how we can prove is, it's the same concept. So since there is a path between every pair of vertices in a graph G, it is observed that G will be connected, right? And since there is only one path between every pair of vertices, it cannot have a cycle, right? And because there is no cycle, then there exists, that is, if there is a cycle, then there will be exactly two paths between the two vertices on the cycle. Thus, G is a connected graph without any cycles. This means that G is a tree. So this is how we can prove it. So coming to the third theorem. The third theorem states that the tree with n vertices has got n minus 1 edges. Theorem 3 is about a tree with n vertices has n minus 1 edges. So let's take this is a tree. So it has got 3 vertices. How many edges are there? 2 edges. Right? So we can start proving based on mathematical induction. So we know that the theorem is true for number of vertices is 1, 2 and 3. We have seen it. Right? So let's start with the assumption that this theorem holds for all the trees with n vertices where n less than or equal to k. That is, we are taking that the theorem is true for positive integer k. Now let's consider the tree T with k plus 1 vertices. We have to prove for k plus 1 vertices. So in a tree, let E be a edge between let E be in a tree. Let's take this as a tree with 4 vertices. Let E be an edge between the n vertices u and v. So since T is a tree, it has no cycles, right? Therefore, there exists no other edge between u and v, right? This is only one edge. So if we delete this particular edge from the tree, this will disconnect the graph. So how will the graph look like? So we will get this kind of graph. So it is disconnected, right? So removal of that particular edge disconnects the graph. Correct? So we can say that T minus E consists of exactly two components, T1 and T2. Since T does not contain a cycle, The components T1 and T2 obviously do not contain any cycle. So hence T1 and T2 are trees, right? So both of the trees must have less than k plus 1 vertices each. Obviously it must have k plus 1 less than k plus 1 vertices, because we are removing one particular edge. And therefore, according to the assumption, since it holds for all the trees, that is, each of T1 and T2 must contain one less edge than the number of vertices, correct? So the total number of vertices in T1 and T2 taken together is k plus 1. Total number of vertices is k plus 1. So the total number of edges in T1 and T2 will be k plus 1 minus 2, where this will be around k minus 1. That means you are removing one edge, so we will be getting k minus 1. The total number of edges will be k minus 1. So for k plus 1 vertices, you will be having k minus 1 edges. Total number of edges taken from these two trees. So I'll just give you the example relation. It is here we have got 4 vertices. That means 3 plus 1 vertices, where k is taken to be 3 here. So 3 plus 1 vertices we have got, right? For 3 plus 1 or 4 vertices, how many edges are there? 2. Or 3 minus 1, 2 edges. Correct? So, but T1 and T2, if we are taking together, it will have got T minus E edges, as we have seen. So, T minus E will contain k minus 1 edges, right? That is what we have proved here. On the removal of an edge, we are getting k minus 1 edges. That is, T minus E will have k minus 1 edges, or T contains exactly k edges. So we have proved that the theorem is true for tree n less than equal to k vertices. Thus, if the theorem is true for n less than equal to k vertices, it is also true for n is equal to k plus 1. So hence the mathematical induction is proved. See this theorem. Any connected graph with n vertices and n minus 1 edges is a tree. So let's take this example. So let's take this example. Let G be a connected graph with n vertices. Okay. So here there are 6 vertices, or basically from this cycle we can say that there are 5 vertices. And how many edges are there? 5 edges. Okay, 5 edges. Because it's a cycle. Now, for 6 vertices, we can observe that there will be 5 edges. That means for n vertices, there are n minus 1 edges. And it is a connected graph, right? So assume that G is not a tree. That means we are taking the same relation here. We are taking a cycle. G contains a cycle C. And let E be an edge in the cycle. Okay. Usually by definition we know that for n vertices there will be n minus 1 edges in a connected graph. And we are assuming the opposite, that is, based on the theorem, we are assuming that it is not a tree. That means it contains a cycle. So we are taking a particular edge in that cycle. And the graph will not be disconnected anyhow, even though you delete this edge. Right? All the vertices will be connected. Even if we remove this edge, the graph is a connected graph. So G minus E is a connected graph. It's still a connected graph. So on the other hand, if we take G minus E has n vertices, okay, and n minus 2 edges, right? Therefore, it cannot be connected. So this is a contradiction. That means G must not have a cycle. So if we are taking the opposite, that is taking a cycle, and on the removal of the edge we are getting so many vertices, n vertices here, and how many edges? 7 edges. Right? If we just take this one, we have got, if you remove this edge, you just remove this edge, okay, 4 edges we are getting, plus we can say that we are getting 4 edges, right? 4 edges. On the removal of this edge, we are getting 4 edges. That is, number of vertices, there are 6 vertices here. 6 minus 2, we are getting 4 edges or n minus 2 edges on the removal of a particular edge in the graph. So therefore, it cannot be connected. So now, this is a contradiction, right? Because we are just taking the opposite cycle, and then we are getting the result that it is not connected. Therefore, this is a contradiction, and G must not have a cycle. This means that G must be a tree, right? The graph must be a tree. So this is the proof. The other theorem that you can use for proving is, a connected graph G is a tree if and only if adding an edge between any two vertices creates exactly one cycle. So this, you can use the same concept. So as per the theorem, the connected graph G is a tree if and only if adding an edge between the two vertices creates exactly one cycle. Okay, that is another theorem which you can also use for proving. And next, what we can tell about minimally connected graph. Let's see another concept of minimally connected graph. So what is this minimally connected graph? The connected graph is said to be minimally connected if the removal of any one edge from the graph disconnects the graph. Okay, if the removal of any one edge from the graph disconnects the graph. So let us take an example for minimally connected. So if we take this example, what does this tell us? This is a tree, right? Now, if you remove any particular edge from the graph, this is a disconnected graph, right? So, as per the definition of minimally connected graph, it is a connected graph is said to be minimally connected if we remove an edge and that removal of an edge disconnects the graph. So, this we can take this as an example. And moreover, we have got another fact, that is a connected graph is a tree if and only if it is minimally connected. That means on the removal of any edge, that is going to disconnect the graph. So this is an example to say about this theorem. So next, let's see a particular problem on this. So they have given two trees. T1 is V1, E1, and T2 is V2, E2, and let there be two trees. Now, if modulus of E1 is 19 and modulus of V2 is 3 times modulus V1, determine modulus V1, modulus V2, and modulus E2. Okay, this is the question. So we know that from the question, modulus E1 is 19, therefore modulus V1 is number of vertices, number of edges plus 1. So what we get? We get 20. And since as per the question modulus V2 is 3 times modulus V1, so we know what is modulus V1 from this. So it will be 3 into 20, which is nothing but 60 number of vertices are there in vertex set V2. Lastly, we are going to find out what is modulus E2. So modulus E2 is once again modulus V2 minus 1. And we have found out that modulus V2 is 60. So we get the answer as 59. So there are 59 edges in the tree 2. So next question is, if a tree has got 2020 vertices, find the sum of the degrees of the vertices. So the number of vertices in the tree is given. We are going to find out the sum of degrees of the vertices. So we know that number of vertices in the given tree is modulus V is 2020. So the number of edges will be number of vertices minus 1, which is 2019. And by handshaking property, we know that the sum of degrees of all the vertices is twice the number of edges. So that is what we have to find out. That means we have to find out twice E, which is the sum of degrees of the vertices. So it is twice into 2019. So we get 4038. So next we will go to the next question. They have asked you to show that the complete graph is Kn, complete graph Kn is not a tree when the number of vertices are greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so let's take 3 vertices V1, V2, V3 in the complete graph Kn. So this is the complete graph K3. So we are taking 3 vertices where the number of vertex is greater than 2. So we are taking K3, so 3 vertices. So then the closed walk V1, V2, V3, V1 is a cycle, right? So this closed walk V1, V2, V3, V1, okay, is a cycle. So hence Kn or K3 has got a cycle, right? Therefore it cannot be a tree. So that is what we have to prove. So in the complete graph with number of vertices greater than or equal to 2, we have to show that it is not a tree. So since it has got a cycle, we are just disproving that it is that is we are proving that it is not a tree. Okay, so next question is, show that the complete bipartite graph KRS. So here they have given 2 bipartites R and S. It is not a tree when R is greater than or equal to 2. So what we do is, let us take 2 vertices V1 and V2 in the first bipartite and V1 dash and V2 dash as 2 vertices in the second bipartite, okay, KRS. So now with the S greater than or equal to R greater than 1. So the closed walk V1, V1 dash, V2, V2 dash and once again back to V1. So this closed walk is a cycle, right, in KR, S. So since KR, S has got a cycle, obviously KR, S is not a tree. It cannot be a tree. So this is what we have to prove. So that the complete bipartite graph KR, S is not a tree. That means there should be edges from the first vertex set to the other vertex set, that is first. And now we are taking the number of vertices equal to 2 in the first bipartite, likewise in the second bipartite 2. and we are saying that based on this closed walk we are getting a cycle, and therefore it is not a tree. So now let's take another problem. The question is, suppose that a tree T has got two vertices of degree 2 and 4 vertices of degree 3 and 3 vertices of degree 4. So find the number of pendant vertices in the tree. So this is the question. So how do we solve this? First of all, let's denote the number of pendant vertices as n. So n represents the number of pendant vertices in a tree. So now we know that the tree has got 2 vertices of degree 2, 3 vertices of degree 4 and 4 vertices of degree 3. Okay, so the total number of vertices, what is the total number of vertices? Total number of vertices is n plus 2, right? 2 vertices, again 3 vertices and 4 vertices. So this is the number of pendant vertices. So these are the number of vertices, n plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is n plus 9. So n plus 9 vertices are there in the tree. Let's find out the sum of degrees of the vertices. The sum of degrees of the vertices is given by the number of vertex and what is the degree of that vertex. So n into pendant vertex has got degree 1 plus 2 vertices are having degree 2 plus 4 vertices are having degree 3 plus 3 vertices are having degree 4. So this is the sum of degrees of the vertices. So when we calculate this, we will be getting it around n plus 28. Okay, and since we know that the tree has got n plus 9 vertices, and there will be n plus 9 minus 1 edges, right? That means it has got n plus 8 edges. So by handshaking property, the sum of degrees of the vertices, that is n plus 28, is twice the number of edges. How many edges are there? N plus 8. Okay, so calculate the value of n. This will give you the number of pendant vertices in a tree. So by handshaking property, we know that this sum of degrees of the vertices is twice the number of edges. So when we calculate this, we will be getting the value of n, that is the number of pendant vertices in the tree, as 12. So this is what is asked. Okay, so next let's take another question. Show that in a tree, if the degree of every non-pendant vertex is 3, then the number of vertices in a tree is an even number. So this is the question. So how do we start proving this? Basically we are telling the number of vertices as n. Let n be the number of vertices in a tree. Now of these, let k be the number of pendant vertices. Okay, so as per the question, the degree of every non-pendant vertex is 3. And we have to prove that number of vertices in a tree is an even number. Okay, so now what we do in the next step is, if we have got each non-pendant vertex has got degree 3, okay, the total sum of degrees of all the vertices, let's calculate this first. Sum of degrees of the vertices will be, the n represents the number of vertices, okay, and number of vertices for every pendant vertex, okay, and for every non-pendant vertex the degree is 3. Non-pendant vertex, See, out of n, there are k pendant vertex. So, non-pendant vertex is denoted by n minus k. Okay, n minus k. So, what is the degree of every pendant vertex? 1. K into 1 plus every non-pendant vertex, n minus k into 3. So, this represents the sum of degrees of the vertices. And we know that sum of degrees of the vertices must be equal to twice the number of edges. How many edges are there in a tree? For n vertices, we have got n minus 1 edges. Okay. So, this sum, that is k into 1 plus 3 times n minus k, must be equal to the twice the number of edges. Number of edges is n minus 1. So, we will be getting k plus 3n minus 3k is 2n minus 2. Okay, or we can say n minus 2k is minus 2, or n will be 2k minus 2, or twice into k minus 1. So, this definitely is an even number, right? What we have shown is the number of vertex is an even number, right? That is what we have to prove. Show that in a tree, if the degree of non-pendant vertex is 3, number of vertices is an even number. That is what we have proved. We are taking n as number of vertices and we have shown that it is an even number. So, here we will see about rooted trees. So, as per the definition of rooted tree, we can say that a directed tree T is a rooted tree if it contains a unique vertex called root. It should contain a root and its degree or in degree must be equal to 0, and the in degrees of all the vertices of all the other vertices must be equal to 1. So, let us take an example. Let me consider a directed tree with the directions. First of all, it should be a tree, and next it should be a directed tree, and for a directed tree it should follow, for a rooted tree it should follow the condition stated, that is in degree of the root must be 0, in degree of the root must be 0 and the in degrees of all the vertices must be 1. So, now we can say that, let us take this example. See, this example is a directed tree, right? And whether this is a rooted tree, let us check out. So, what is the in degree of the root? Is there a root? Is there a root? No. You can observe that the in degrees are given to be, in degree is 1, right? For this in degree is 1, the directions are upwards. The in degree of root must be 0 and in degrees of other vertices must be 1. That means there must be one edge reaching that vertex. So, but here you can observe 2 edges reaching the vertex. So, this is not a rooted tree. So, next if I take this example, just take this example. Observe the directions are downwards. That means there is one edge reaching each and every vertex, one edge, just one edge reaching each and every vertex. Okay, what can you say about this example? This is definitely a rooted tree because the in degree of this vertex or the root, see the arrows are downwards, pointing downwards, okay. The arrows are pointing downwards. In degree is 0, because there is no edge reaching the vertex. So, in degree of the root is 0. Yes, fine. In degrees of other vertices, there is just one edge reaching other vertex. Therefore, in degree of all the vertices are 1. Yes, it follows this condition. In degree of the root is 0. In degree of all other vertices are 1. Therefore, this is an example of a rooted tree. Okay. Next, we will talk about the level number, ancestor, descendant, parent, child, siblings and internal vertex as well as leaves. So, what can we say about the level number? So, if a vertex V of the rooted tree it is said to be in kth level or has k level number k. So if the path from root to the vertex is of length k, so if I take this vertex v2, so what is the length from the root to that vertex? There is just one edge reaching from the root to that vertex. So this is in level number 1 or level k. Okay. Likewise, you can calculate the levels for other vertices. So next we will talk about descendant. So whenever we find two vertices in a tree and v1, if it is at let's say this is v1, this is v2. So now v1 and v2 are vertices such that if v1 has a lower level number, like v1 has lower level number 0 and v2 has got a bit higher lower level number. Okay, here v2 level number is 1, v1 is 0. So in such a way, and if there is a path from v1 to v2, we can say that v1 is the ancestor and v2 is the descendant. You can observe that v1 is up and v2 is rooted below. So v1 should be at lower level number and v2 should be at a bit higher number, like here level 1, and there should be a path. In such a case, we can say that v1 is the ancestor and v2 is the descendant of v1. And what we can say about parent and child plus siblings? So when we talk about a parent of v2, okay, so we observe that there is a path or there is an edge from v1 to v2 and we can say that v1 is the parent of v2 and v2 is the child of v1, right? v2 is the child of v1. So let's say there are two, this is a parent and we have got two branches rising from the parent, and we can say that two vertices with the common parent, they are called siblings. Okay, they are called siblings. And the vertex basically which is having out degree is 0. You can observe that the out degree is 0. There is no edge arising from this vertex. Therefore, it is called as a leaf. So this vertex whose out degree is 0 is called as a leaf, and a vertex which is not a leaf is an internal vertex. So we are calling all these as internal vertex because it is not a leaf. Okay, so this I think you have understood about certain terminologies in under rooted tree. Next we will talk about M-array tree. So what is this M-array tree and what is meant by complete M-array tree as well as binary tree? So a rooted tree T is called as a M-array tree if every internal vertex, okay, is having out degree less than or equal to m. That is, if every internal vertex of tree has got at most m children. So let's take an example. If I take this, it is a tree which has got, that means every internal vertex, these are internal vertices, has got out degree less than equal to m. That means every internal vertex has got at most m children. We can have this one also. So this is also an internal vertex which has got out degree 1. So we are taking a rooted tree, which means a directed tree. I will be including the directions. So here the internal vertex has got out degree 2. Internal vertex has got out degree 2. Internal vertex has got out degree 1. So at most m children, it has got at most m children. That means at most 2 children every internal vertex has got. It can be less than or equal to 2. So this is a 2-array tree. Okay, take this example, it is a 2-array tree. So when we talk about complete M-array tree, the different version of M-array tree is a complete M-array tree in which every internal vertex has got exactly m children. So here in a complete M-array tree, every internal vertex has got exactly m children. So how can we redefine this tree? So I'll take this example for a complete M-array tree wherein each and every internal vertex, these are internal vertex which are not leaves. So every internal vertex has got exactly m children or 2 children. So it is a complete 2 array tree. It is a complete 2 array tree. So there is a difference between m array tree and a complete m array tree. The next we'll talk about a binary tree. So what exactly is a binary tree? So this is a binary tree wherein it is an m array tree for which m is equal to 2. That means exactly 2 children must be there for every internal vertex. Okay, exactly 2 children. Every internal vertex must have exactly 2 children. So this is a complete 2 array tree, plus it is a binary tree. So binary tree is a m array tree for which m is equal to 2. So what we can say about a complete binary tree? So complete m array tree for which m is equal to 2 is called as a complete binary tree. So let's take an example to illustrate a binary tree and which is not a complete binary tree. Let me take this example. Here we have got a root and 2 vertices. Vertex V4, V7, V8 and V9, V3, V5 and V6. So this is a tree. Now when we observe this tree, is it a binary tree and whether it is a complete binary tree? You can observe that this vertex V2 has got just one children, and V4 has got one children, V7, one child, and V7 has got 2 children, V8 and V9. So there is a difference between the difference in the out degrees of different vertices, in internal vertices. Okay, here the out degree is 1, here also the out degree is 1, but here the out degree is 2. Okay, so it is a binary tree. This is an example for a binary tree, but it is not a complete binary tree, wherein every basically it should be a m array tree. We know that m array tree means every internal vertex has got out degree less than or equal to m. So this is an m array tree, and for which m is equal to 2, right? That follows a binary tree. And if we want to say about complete binary tree, we can take this as an example. So every internal vertex must have exactly 2 children. So this is a complete binary tree. So next we will see about a balanced tree and full binary tree. So what is a balanced tree? So we can say tree T should be a rooted tree first of all, and let's say H is the largest level number, okay, achieved by the leaf. Largest level number where we can see is through the leaf. And T, let it say it has got height H. Okay. So now rooted tree is said to be balanced if the level number of the leaf is H or H minus 1. So this should be the, when this is the level number, we can say it is a balanced tree. So it should be a rooted tree first of all, okay, and a rooted tree of height H is said to be balanced if the level number is H or H minus 1, where H denotes the largest level number achieved by the leaf, okay, and it is said to have height H. Let's say, let's give an example to denote the balanced tree. Let's take this tree, what we have taken before. Okay, let's take this tree. Now we can observe that what is the height of the leaf? What is its height? It represents the path or the number of paths or number of edges from the root till the leaf. So that is the height. There are 4 edges. So the height of this tree is 4. And we can say directly it is a balanced tree. Why? Because it is a rooted tree and it is having height h in such a way that the level number of every leaf is either height h. Okay, this is the height. If you check the level number of each leaf, you can observe that the height is 4. Okay, and this is the largest level number. You check whether it is achieved by each and every leaf. Okay, this is the leaf. What is the height? It is 3. Height is 3 even for this vertex and this vertex. So for all the leaves, the height is here. We have got height or the level number is h minus 1. Here also we have got h minus 1. Okay, height is 4. The maximum height or the maximum level number is 4, which is achieved by the leaf. And for every leaf we check out the height, it will be either h or h minus 1. Therefore, it is a balanced tree. So, moving on to the definition of full binary tree. So, what is this full binary tree? So, it is called as a full binary tree if all the leaves are at level h, that is at the same level. It is not like this one, just the opposite, wherein they are exactly the same. Each and every leaf has got the same level number. So, let us take this example. You can observe that the height of this leaf is 3. Here also the height is 3. Here the leaf has got height 3. Height is 3, right? For each and every leaf, you can observe the height is same for all the leaves. So, such a tree is called as a full binary tree. A tree is a full binary tree if all the leaves are at height, or if all the leaves in a tree are at level h. Okay, then we can say that it is a complete, it is a full binary tree. Next, let us take an question. This question, let T be a complete M-array tree of order n and there are p leaves and q internal vertices. We are supposed to prove all these facts. We know that for a complete M-array tree, as a rooted, it is a rooted tree, right? It is a rooted tree in which every internal vertex is of degree, out degree m. Right? For M-array tree, the internal vertex has got, every internal vertex has got out degree m. And since every vertex in a rooted tree, it is either a leaf or it can be an internal vertex. So the total number of vertices which is given by n is nothing but the number of leaves, which is p here, and the number of vertices, internal vertices. So the now total number of vertices are n is equal to p plus q. So we know that the out degree of every leaf, what is the out degree of every leaf? Out degree of a leaf is 0 and out degree of every internal vertex is m, right? So the sum of out degrees of the vertices is given by p, the leaves. P represents the leaves. The out degree is 0 and the out degree for every internal vertex. So q are the number of internal vertices. Okay, q represents the number of internal vertices as per the question. So q, there are q internal vertices and each of them has got out degree m. So this is how we can write down this answer as the sum of out degrees for the vertices in a tree. And let's count the number of in degrees likewise. So we know that the in degree of the root is 0, right? In degree of the root is 0 and also the in degree of remaining n minus 1 vertices is 1. correct? Now we can calculate the total sum of integers. So which is given by the first, there is a root which has got in degree 0, and we have got n minus 1 vertex which is of in degree 1. So we will be getting the sum of integers as n minus 1. So by the theorem of digraph, what we can say is the two sums must be equal, that is n. What we get from this graph, from this theorem is qm, right? We get qm. So according to the principle or theorem of digraph, these two must be equal, that is the two sums on qm, that is qm plus n minus 1, they must be equal. The sum of out degrees must be equal to the sum of in degrees as per the digraph theory. So what is the sum of out degrees? We get it as qm must be equal to the sum of in degrees, that is n minus 1. So what we get, qm plus 1 is n, or q equal to n minus 1 by m. So have we got one proof? Yes, we have achieved this one. Next is, let's find out what is qm plus 1. What is it equal to? So this qm plus 1 is equal to n, and moreover n is equal to p plus q. So we can substitute this p plus q. And what will be p from this equation? So we will be getting qm minus q, or q into m minus 1 plus 1 will be p, or what will be q? Q will be p minus 1 by m minus 1. So is it asked? See, you can achieve this one too. Next, what we can do in this portion is, we can substitute the value of q. We can substitute this value of q in this expression. So what we can write? So if I'll just rename this as equation 1. So I am going to substitute q value here. So q, we have got p minus 1 by m minus 1, I am going to substitute here. Okay. So substituting q in equation 1, so we will be getting p minus 1 by m minus 1 into m plus 1 equals to n. Or if we just simplify this, we will be getting m into p minus 1 plus m minus 1 by m minus 1, and which is equal to n, or I'll write it here, and this is equal to mp plus, or mp minus m plus m will cancel, so we will be getting mp minus 1 by m minus 1. So this is the value of n. Just cross check whether this is asked. N is equal to mp minus 1 by m minus 1. Okay, and this n is equal to qm plus 1 is already achieved. So further we are going to find out, this is also achieved, that is p is q into m minus 1 plus 1. Further this one we have to find out. Okay, now let's substitute this equation, that is n is equal to mp minus 1 by m minus 1. Let's substitute this equation 2 in equation, let's find out. Yeah, I'll rename this as equation 3. Now I'm going to substitute equation 2 in equation 3. So now In equation 3, n is equal to p plus 2. So, mp minus 1 by m minus 1 equal to p plus q. Okay. So, what we will be getting is what we are supposed to get is m minus 1, m, n and p terms. M, n, see n is not there, so we are not going to substitute this equation. Instead, we are going to substitute this equation. I'll rename this as equation 2 rather than this one. We are going to substitute this equation in equation 3. Okay, we are going to substitute this equation. So, what is the thing that we have to substitute? We are going to substitute q is equal to p minus 1 by m minus 1 in equation 3. So, what is equation 3? N is equal to p plus q. Okay. So, I am going to substitute the value of q here. So, we will be getting n is equal to p plus p minus 1 by m minus 1 or m minus 1 into n is equal to p into m minus 1 plus p minus 1, which is nothing but pm minus 1, or p equals to m minus 1 into n plus 1 whole by m. So, you can check this. We have already proved this m minus 1 into n plus 1 by m. Okay. So, let us see this question. You are supposed to find out the number of internal vertices in a complete 5-array tree. Here the value of m is 5 and 817 leaves. So, the value of p is given to be 817, that is number of leaves, and the value of m is given to be 5, that is m-array tree or 5-array tree, and we also have to find out the number of internal vertices, that is q. So, which is the formula that connects these terms p, m and q? I think this is the formula. Q is equal to p minus 1 by m minus 1. So, we can use this formula in our problem. So, q is equal to p minus 1 by m minus 1. This is what we have to find out. This is the number of internal vertices. So, we will be getting 817 minus 1 by pi minus 1. So, the answer is 204 internal vertices are there in a tree. Next, this is the solution to problem A. In problem B, we are supposed to find out the number of leaves in a complete 6-array tree of order 733. So, the number of vertices are given. The value of n is 733 and the value of m, which is given to be 6-array tree. We are supposed to find out the number of leaves or p. So, which is the formula that connects just p, n and m. So, this is the formula which just connects p, m and n. We are going to use this in our problem. So, p is equal to m minus 1 into n plus 1 by m. So, we will get 6 minus 1 into 733 plus 1 by 6. Just calculate the answer. So, we will be getting this answer as 611. So, there are 611 leaves in a tree. Let us see another question. The computer laboratory has got 10 computers that are to be connected to a wall socket and which has got 2 outlets. The connections are made using extension cord that have 2 outlets each. Okay, so there are 10 computers and there are two outlets. They are made using extension cords, and all of these all these computers are connected to a wall socket. They are supposed to find out the least number of cords needed to get these computers set up. So how do you solve this problem? They are given 10 computers in a laboratory. So the wall socket it can be considered as a root of the complete binary tree, and we can have these computers as leaves and internal vertices, right? So we can draw this connection like this. There will be a wall socket and there will be 10 computers. We are representing them as vertices, and we have got extension cords connected to them. Cords 3, cords 2. Okay, this is the setup. So we are representing the root as a wall socket and all these computers as leaves. So there are 10 computers. They are representing them as leaves. They are connected to using a socket. Okay, they have made connection using extension cords that have 2 outlets each. That's what we have done. We are supposed to find out the least number of cords in order to set up the system. So we know that the number of leaves in a tree is given by P, which is 10, which represents 10 computers. Now the number of internal vertices is given by Q is P minus 1, right? Or the number of internal vertices are 9. So accordingly, the number of extension cords needed should be Q minus 1, that is 8. But how many we have got? 10. So the least number of cords that is required to set up is 8. Okay, next we'll see another problem. In a classroom, there are 25 microcomputers. 25 microcomputers. And that must be connected to a wall socket, which has got 4 outlets. Okay, in a classroom there are 25 microcomputers that are connected to wall socket and it has got 4 outlets. The connections are made using extension cords. And that has got 4 outlets each. So we are supposed to find out the least number of cords in order to set up the system. So as in the previous problem, here we have got a variation, that is the value of M is 4. It is a 4 array tree like setup. And the number of leaves, we are representing the systems, microcomputers as leaves, which is given by P, and it is 25. We are supposed to find out the least number of cords. So we know that we can find out the number of internal vertices connecting these two terms, which is given by Q is equal to P minus 1 by M minus 1. So if we just find out the value, we get the answer as 8. That is the number of vertices or extension cords minimum required is Q minus 1, which is 7. Okay. How many extension cords or internal cords are there or internal vertices are there is 8, but minimum required is Q minus 1, that is 7. So So these are all the problems under rooted trees. In the next video session, we will look into the sorting and its problems.